All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to get into something pretty deep: the powerful and often totally invisible psychological forces that can shape our financial lives. We're going to break down why so many of us feel stuck and what the path to financial healing really looks like, all based on the work of author and business consultant Irina Padres. So let's kick things off with a stat that, well, it might feel a little too real. In a survey of over 2,000 people, the author found that a massive 75% described their financial situation as rather poor. And here's the crazy part. This included people with stable jobs, families, homes. So it really makes you wonder, right? What does poor even mean?
Well, according to the source material we're looking at today, it's not really about the number in your bank account. Real poverty is more like a broken relationship with money itself. It's that point where money stops being a useful tool and instead becomes this constant source of anxiety. It becomes the master, and you're just trying to serve it.
And that right there, that brings us to the core idea of this whole explainer. The author makes a bold claim. Poverty isn't just something that happens to you. It's a mindset. You could almost call it a disease of the mind. But the good thing about any disease is that it can be understood, it can be treated, and it can be cured.
Now, this is where things get really, really interesting. I know it sounds totally backwards, but what if, on some deep, unconscious level, we actually choose to struggle with money? Let's dig into some of these hidden psychological payoffs that can keep people locked in a cycle of wanting more.
So to get why anyone would make this choice, the author brings up the work of psychotherapist Eric Berne, who studied all these hidden games people play in their lives. And it turns out there are some very real, very human reasons for staying kind of unhappy. And here it is, the big surprise. Being seen as unfortunate is actually a super easy way to get attention and sympathy from other people. But on the flip side, success, that can be really lonely. Suddenly there's all this pressure, high expectations, and even envy from the exact same people who used to offer you comfort. Berne had a name for this kind of social validation. He called it mental stroking. And we're all, hardwired to want that. For a lot of people, playing the victim is just a much simpler way to get that validation than putting in the hard work to succeed, which, let's face it, often comes with more judgment than hugs. So, how can you tell which game you might be playing? Well, a really quick way to check is to just listen to your own conversations. Are you talking about goals and plans and new ideas? Or do your conversations get stuck in a loop of problems, complaints, and who's to blame? What you talk about is basically a mirror of your mindset. Okay, so if poverty really is a mindset, a kind of mental game we play, how do we stop playing? How do you actually cure it? Well, the author lays out a pretty clear two-part prescription. The author shares this really personal story about her first business, which just completely crashed and burned, leaving her in debt. For a while, she realized she was blaming everything and everyone, the ideas, the market, everything but herself. The big breakthrough came when she finally realized the failure wasn't out there. The problem was her. It was her mindset. And that breakthrough right there, that's the cure. Step 1 is all about radical responsibility. 100% ownership. No more blaming your boss, your past, the economy. It's your financial life. Then, from there, you go to step 2. You have to follow through with consistent, deliberate action that moves you toward your goals. And here's the thing that's so empowering. Your situation right now, your job, your income, even your relationships, it's all the result of 1,000 little choices you've made along the way. Now, this isn't about blaming yourself, not at all. It's about realizing you have the controls. Because if your past choices created today, then the choices you make from now on can create a totally different future. Okay, but let's be real. Taking that responsibility and then actually doing something, that is hard. Because as we try to grow, we keep hitting these same 3 psychological walls over and over again. Understanding what they are is the key to finally getting past them. Okay, hurdle number 1. This one's a big one. Shame and fear. That shame you feel for even wanting more than what you have, and that paralyzing fear of what people might think. Fear of failing, sure, but also, weirdly enough, a fear of succeeding and the judgment that can come with it. Then there's hurdle number 2,
what you might call the not enough syndrome. You know that little voice in your head, the one that's always telling you you're not smart enough, not experienced enough, not creative enough, just not enough to have what you want. And finally, hurdle number 3, this feeling that you're not unique. It's that thought, what's so special about me? Why would anyone choose me or pay me more when there are 100 other people who do the same thing? But here's what's so critical to get. These hurdles, they don't just go away. The author actually calls it a spiral. You work so hard to get past them to reach one level of success, only to find them waiting for you at the next level, just bigger. The fear of asking for a $50K salary becomes the fear of managing a $1 million budget. The challenges stay the same. They just have more zeros at the end. So, how do we break out of this loop? The final piece of the puzzle is all about how we respond to these financial challenges. It's about shifting from this automatic, almost childlike reaction to a conscious adult response. So what the source material points out is that when we get stressed about money, our brains kind of default to these old survival patterns we learned as kids. We panic, we get defensive, we feel helpless. That's the child reacting. An adult response is totally different. It's deliberate, it's calm, and it's focused on finding a solution. And you can see this play out everywhere. Let's say you're asking for a raise. The childlike reaction is to get all offended if you're told no and then go complain about it. The adult response, you prepare a real case, you have a calm discussion, and you ask for a clear path forward. One path gets you stuck in bitterness, the other actually gets you results. And this is where the real power is. Look, you can't just wait around for your boss or your clients or the world to change for you. It's not going to happen. But what you can do, always, is change how you respond to it. You are the one who can influence your feelings. And because of that, you're the one who influences your results. So to really build up an immunity to this poverty mindset, the author suggests creating your own personal financial constitution, a set of clear, non-negotiable principles. And this isn't about some crazy, complicated budget. It's about setting some basic rules for yourself, like, I know my numbers. I value my time. I am responsible for my results. Simple but powerful stuff. And that really brings us to the core of it all. The message here is one of, well, radical empowerment. This idea of poverty as a mindset means it's not a life sentence. It's a series of choices. And armed with what you know now, you have the clarity and the tools to make a different choice. And that choice starts right now.